I recently talked with a family here from church. I was talking to the dad and the wife and the kids. They were kind of around finding donuts, whatever it was. And we got to talk. I said, "Have you guys been? Haven't seen you in a while." He said, "Yeah, been busy as the kids have gotten older. The schedules have gotten busier, and so we're just in and out a whole lot more." And I said, "Oh, well, it's just great to see you guys. Anything we can do for you?" And he said, "Yeah, I'd love to just ask you this question." He said, "We're feeling disconnected from the church and from God. What can we do about that?" And initially, I just wanted to say, well, you could try showing up. Maybe we can make a difference, right? But I didn't. And I just gave him that line I just gave to you. My answer was simple. Just think that every decision you make is an investment. And I like to talk about our decisions and what we invest in kind of a comparison with the parable of the sower. Where is your soil? Where do you find yourself sowing your seed, so to speak, in life? Jesus tells this amazing parable in Luke chapter 8. And he's talking about the gift of salvation and the various hearts that it receives. But sometimes I like to take this parable and take it and say, but I think that applies to other areas of our life to consider is where you are planting your seed. Where do you find your common soil to be, somewhere that is producing fruit or not? Jesus explains the end of his parable saying this. I'll read it along with you here in Luke chapter 8, verse 12. And he says, so those along the path, after he's saying there's seed that gets scattered, all these different paths, those who, the ones on the path here, and then the devil comes and takes, and this is the part where a lot of us don't like this part, takes away the word from their hearts so they might not believe and be saved. So that's kind of the first one. Second person, he says, those who are on the rocky ground are the ones who receive the word with joy when they hear it, but they have no root. Then he goes on in verse 14, or they believe for a while, but in the time of testing they fall away. Verse 14, then he goes on to say, but the seed that fell along the thorns stands for those who hear. But as they go on their way, they are choked by life's worries, riches, and pleasures, and they do not mature. There's three options. He said, but there's a fourth option he wants us to consider. But the seed on the good soil stands for those with a noble and good heart, who hear the word, retain it, and by persevering produce crop. I think sometimes we desire, whether we realize it or not, to be the people scattered in every which direction. We like to do all the things, we like to have our schedules full because we have FOMO. We don't want to miss out. We don't want to make a decision and then it come back around and then we regret it, which isn't a bad thing. But I think oftentimes the bigger question we should ask ourselves is not, what are you chasing? Rather, where do you find yourself planted the most? I ask myself, where is my soil?